So I've been on a total Season 7 kick lately, and it's because of this stupid Complete Series 7 DVD. I've had these Complete Season DVDs for years, and the only reason I had them was to have high quality widescreen rips of the episodes on hand. I've never actually sat down and watched them. Recently I was looking at the DVD case, and the absolute incoherent order of the Season 7 episodes completely fascinated me. Usually all the eps are listed in their production order on these things, which I always prefer, but I don't know what happened with Season 7. Like, why is Emily's New Coaches after all the Emily episodes? Why are the narrow gauge episodes grouped up in threes? I've been so obsessed over this, trying to understand the reasoning behind this order, that I've been looking at other Season 7 listings just to get some understanding. I consulted the wiki, I consulted the Japan Thomas Bible, concept art that marks the episode numbers, everything. I eventually ended up going back and watching the entire season for the first time in God knows how long, just for some insight. And the more I watched it, the more I realized that Season 7 actually has a lot worth talking about. So here are my thoughts on it. So why is Season 7 of Thomas and Friends significant? Well, it's universally known as the last quote-unquote classic Thomas season. It was the final season to utilize the classic Thomas format, the last to have music composed by Mike and Jr., the last to be directed by David Mitton, and the last to use the original Thomas theme song in the intro. Ah yes, for many it was the last truly good Thomas season. Or at least for every other country besides the United States. Yeah, we oh so fortunate Americans got really screwed with Season 7. Contrary to popular belief, Season 7 was actually the first season produced under Hit Entertainment's ownership, not Season 8. And I'm not really sure what Hit's reasoning for this was, but they completely changed the season when they brought it to the US. It was given brand new music composed by Robert Hartshorn, utilized the Season 8 intro and theme song, and featured really terrible rushed narration by Michael Brandon.
I'm a great Western engine. I shouldn't have to shiver.
By the time Season 7 came to the US in 2004, Season 8 was already starting to air. And I guess Hit thought it was a better idea to air Season 7 coincide with Season 8? I don't know. For the longest time, the only way I got to see any of Season 7 here was in between Season 8 episodes on PBS. And some of them didn't even get aired. There were some I knew existed, like Snow Engine and The Runaway Elephant, but I never saw them. The United States didn't see Season 7 in its entirety until 2006. 3 years after the season aired in the UK. 3 years. Funnily enough, the US did get some Season 7 episodes on DVD prior to Season 8, which were included on the New Friends for Thomas DVD. Strangely though, the eps on this DVD were narrated by Michael and Jealous. I always figured this was because it came about in an awkward period between Alec Baldwin leaving the series and before hiring Michael Brandon. So Hit just said, screw it, we'll just have Angelus do it, we have a release schedule to keep to. And no offense to all the UK fans out there, but I just can't stand this guy's narration. New Friends for Thomas was my first ever exposure to Michael and Jealous, and it left a pretty bad impression on me. I've never truly been able to bear his narration since, unless they were the only versions available. I realized that he had a lot of energy in the early seasons, but here, it's like the worst narration he's ever done.
It gives me great pleasure to present you with 2 new coaches.
Well, actually, I take that back. I guess it could be worse.
How am I going to make the Children's Day really special?
Ugh. To be honest, though, I have to give Michael Brandon some credit. At least he attempts to give each character their own distinctive voice, even though most of them don't suit the character at all.
Not me, puffed Gordon. You never catch me looking so ridiculous.
At least he tried. I've always kind of avoided watching Season 7 because I dislike both English narrations. It's really a lose-lose situation with this season. I guess I prefer the UK dub just because it's presented in the way it was intended, and of course, for the music. Don't get me wrong, Robert Hartshorn's music for this season isn't bad at all. In fact, I love some of the music he did for this season, like the Runaway Elephant theme and Emily's theme, but it's just redundant to watch when you know there's Mike and Jr. versions available. In a perfect world, the US would have gotten all of Season 7 with Michael Brandon narrating and the original music in place, just like for the few episodes that were included on the Thomas and the Jet Engine DVD. Take the hint, Mattel. Take the hint. So what are my thoughts overall on the season itself? Overall, it's It's a good season. There's a handful of great episodes and some really wonderful set pieces. I personally love the fishing village. But at the same time, it's no season 4. It's not all that exciting or fast-paced. Sometimes it can be really childish and boring. And that's saying a lot, with 6 seasons full of exciting, awesome stories preceding it. Episodes like The Old Bridge kind of just make me wonder. These episodes were really produced by the same people that did every season before this? Really? Season 6 was technically the first season to start writing more moral-heavy stories, so I don't know if it was just because I first saw most of Season 7 alongside the extremely watered-down Season 8 or what, but the morals in Season 7 always seemed really blatant and forced to me.
We're sorry if we hurt your feelings, Puff Thomas. We were only copying you because we think you're grand. Now they will all work together and have fun together, as good friends should.
Maybe spotless records are made to be broken, smiled Thomas. And then mended again, finished Arthur, just like friendships.
We shouldn't have been so naughty, said Bill. We're very sorry, added Ben. Good, smiled Fergus. From now on, we can all do it right together.
Hehehehe, how cute. But at the same time, there's really only a few clunkers amongst many good stories. Some of my favorites from the season include The Grand Opening, Something Fishy, Fergus Breaks the Rules, Gordon and Spencer, the list goes on. Pretty much all the episodes with the new characters were the best ones, probably because all the newbies introduced here were very strong and memorable. With the exception of Murdoch. I mean, he no doubt looks awesome, but there's not a lot to his character in my opinion. He's a gentle giant that likes it quiet. Not really a whole lot of story potential there.
No need to be rude.
Of all the new characters introduced in Season 7, my favorite is without a doubt Spencer. He's definitely one of the more stronger characters that came from this era of the show, and he's still used heavily to this day. Despite its flaws, I can't say I dislike Season 7. I do think it's a fun season, and I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if it was just released in the US in the way it was freaking intended, but I digress. Unlike the season that followed it, all the episodes in Season 7 are very different from each other, and most of them are very memorable. But at the same time, some of its moral-heavy stories and childish elements really showed signs of what was to come in the future. It's a transitional season in a lot of ways, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'd rather have an eased transition into a new era than a stark, sudden shift from one to another. The cast of characters is also really diverse, and pretty much everyone in the show at this point got some focus. And I guess that's really all you can ask for in a season of a kids show about talking trains. Season 7 is definitely the black sheep of the classic era, but a gentle and fuzzy one nonetheless. So those were my thoughts on Season 7. Yeah, pretty random topic for discussion, I know, but you can all blame that stupid Series 7 DVD for initiating all of this. Also a big shout out to Toby's Windmill and Michael Melton for their amazing Season 7 music recreations. If you haven't checked out their channels already, you totally should. Links are in the description. I've also been experimenting with shorter, more to-the-point videos like this one, so let me know if you like this format or the longer, more in-depth thoughts-ons like the Adventure Begins one. Let me know what you prefer. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Peace.